All right, let's talk about a real-life superpower. Forget those essays you had to write in school. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the ability to genuinely change minds, to build an idea in someone else's head. This isn't about winning an argument. It's about being an architect of belief. So, welcome to your masterclass on the art of influence. Seriously, take a second and think about it. That one time you actually got a friend or your boss or maybe even a family member to see things your way. What really happened in that moment? Did you just throw a bunch of facts at them until they finally caved? No, of course not. Something much, much deeper was going on. And that's the absolute key. What you were doing wasn't arguing, it was building. You were carefully constructing a path, piece by piece, that led them to one and only one logical destination, your conclusion. You were the architect, and today we're handing you the blueprints. So where does any good construction project begin? Well, it doesn't start with your materials, with your words. It starts with understanding the ground you're building on, and that ground is the mind of your audience. The first move is always psychological. It's about building a bridge to the person you want to influence long before you ever ask them to walk across it. You have to ask yourself this. Really ask. Who are these people? Are they already on your side? Are they total skeptics? Are they experts who will see right through weak points? Every single audience has its own set of beliefs, its own fears, its own biases. If you don't know who you're talking to, you're literally just shouting into the wind. And here's the strategy. You can't just start building a bridge from your side of the canyon and hope it reaches them. You have to walk over to their side, find a piece of solid ground you both agree on, and start building from there. You have to find that shared value, that common concern. That's where you lay the first stone. Okay, now let's talk about the tools of the trade. Believe it or not, the core engine of all persuasion was mapped out more than 2,000 years ago by Aristotle. And you know what? In our crazy world of tweets and AI and 24/7 news, this ancient blueprint is still the absolute gold standard. It has never been beaten. Now, don't think of these as three separate things. They're not a checklist. Think of them more like a rope braided from three strong cords. You've got ethos, which is all about your credibility. You've got pathos, which is their emotion. And then you have logos, the cold, hard logic that weaves it all together. To be truly persuasive, you need all three working in perfect sync. So let's start with ethos. This boils down to one simple question in your reader's mind. Why on earth should I listen to you? And it's not just about having qualifications, it's about your tone. If you sound angry or biased or just unfair, your credibility is shot. You have to be the most reasonable, trustworthy voice in the room. Next up, logos. This is the skeleton of your argument. It's the part that has to be unbreakable. We're talking data, statistics, historical facts, and clear if-then reasoning. Without a strong logical core, your argument is it's just an opinion. Logos is the undeniable proof that you're not just making this stuff up. But here's the thing. Logic on its own rarely makes people act. And that's where pathos comes in. This is the heart, the emotional core. See, people often use logic to justify decisions they've already made emotionally. Pathos is what connects with them, what makes them care. It's what turns a dry argument into an urgent mission. And this is why the balance is so critical. Look at what happens when one piece is missing. If you don't have ethos, if they don't trust you, you're just ignored. If you lack logos, your argument is flimsy and gets dismissed. And if you have no pathos, no emotion, well, who cares? It's just uninspired. But when you masterfully weave all three together, you become unstoppable. All right, so we've got the components, we understand the pillars. Now let's get down to the actual construction. This is the step-by-step process for putting it all together to build an argument so solid, so tightly reasoned that it's basically an unbreakable fortress of logic. First up, your introduction. It has two jobs and two jobs only. First, the hook. You have to grab their attention right away with a shocking fact, a challenging question, something that makes them lean in. And second, the thesis. This is no time to be shy. Plant your flag. State exactly what you're going to prove in one clear, debatable sentence. Now we get to the body of your argument. This is where you lay the bricks, and the peel method is how you make sure every single brick is perfect. For every paragraph, you make your point. Then you provide the evidence to back it up, that's your logos. Then you explain how that evidence proves your point. And finally, you link it all back to your main thesis. Do this over and over, and your wall of logic just gets taller and stronger. Okay, time for an advanced move. This is the technique that separates the amateurs from the true masters of influence. Anybody can make their own case, but a real master persuades by tackling the counter-argument head-on. This is how you don't just win the debate, you completely own it. So amateurs use what's called a straw man. They take a weak, twisted, easy-to-beat version of their opponent's argument and knock it down. It's a cheap shot, and frankly, it proves nothing. The masterstroke is the steel man. You find the strongest, smartest, most compelling version of their argument, you present it fairly, and then you dismantle it. And this is what it sounds like in practice. You actually acknowledge the other side has a point. You might say, now some people are concerned about this, and you know what? They have a right to be. That move right there builds massive ethos. You sound confident, fair, and honest. And then you pivot with that killer word, however. Think about the strategic genius of this. When you have taken the absolute best shot the other side has, and you've respectfully dismantled it, what's left for them to say? The answer is nothing. You've sealed off all the exits. Your argument is the only one left standing. It's now bulletproof. And finally, we arrive at the conclusion. Now, the biggest mistake people make here is just summarizing everything they've already said. Please, don't do that. Your conclusion isn't a boring recap. It's a launch pad. Its entire purpose is to propel your reader from simply agreeing with you into taking action. And this is where you bring pathos roaring back. You raise the stakes. You paint two vivid pictures of the future. Here's the world if we embrace this idea, and here's the world if we ignore it. You show them the real, big picture consequences and make them feel the full weight of that choice. Ultimately, this is what it all comes down to. An argument without a purpose is just mental gymnastics. The whole point is to create change. So don't just leave them thinking, that was a good point. Give them a mission, a new way to vote, a new habit to start, a new way of seeing the world. Tell them what to do next. And I want you to remember the real power of what you're learning here. This goes way beyond writing. Every great leap forward in human history, every revolution, every right that was won, every injustice that was overturned, it all started with someone, somewhere, making a powerful, structured, persuasive case for a better world. You have the blueprint. You have the tools. You understand the architecture of belief. You're not just a writer or a speaker anymore. You're an architect of influence. So now, go move the world.